What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. I know you guys can probably already tell it is going down. Just by that title alone, you're definitely going to see this one as we're witnessing NBC host Kristen Welker's entire career being destroyed less than 15 seconds by Senator Tom Cotton in this newest update, guys. I'm excited to get into it, so we're not straight into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we even get into it, you guys, hit that like button, also hit that subscribe button for your boy. And without further ado, let's jump straight into it, folks. Check this out.
My broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's
exactly right there, that fact check, the fact check coming from Tom Cotton. I mean, Kristen Welker, NBC, I feel like they always try to gaslight, push their narrative. Tom Cotton stopping them directly in their tracks, saying, hey, whenever it's time for them, to cough up funds for, miscellaneous use on their end, they always somehow have it. But when it's time to answer these folks who have been left without, their livelihood, they've left without anything, nowhere to go. We've got no answers for them. We don't know where the funds have went, but it hasn't went to the migrants. We're trying to figure out, where did the funds go? If it didn't go to them, where did it go? They have no answer, and it's really sad, man.
Pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
It's been bogus fact check after bogus fact check. Ooh, FEMA hasn't redirected any funds. What Democrats are doing is what they always do. They're playing frickin' semantics. FEMA didn't misdirect funds. The funds are separate. Well, what does that tell you? That means that FEMA, whose job it is to respond in moments of crisis for Americans, has essentially diverted funds in a way of creating two accounts, one for Americans and one for illegal migrants, and now they're stuck in this position where they don't have the funds, they don't have the ability to properly respond after a disastrous hurricane. It's literally the same thing. Ooh, fact check. There's two different bank accounts. What kind of idiotic fact check is that? And at the end of the day, it ignores the actual core issue here. The issue is that the American people, frankly, feel like frickin' chopped liver. I mean, what do American taxpayers have to do to become the top priority of their own government? Do towns and counties in North Carolina and other places have to rename themselves to Little Israel or Little Ukraine to get some frickin' priority? Do people need to renounce their American citizenship, cross into Mexico, and then walk back into the nation as an illegal in order to get priority? It's unbelievable. Tom Cotton hit the nail on the frickin' head. The people see what's going on. They see how something happens abroad and immediately the government mobilizes. How many billions do you need, Zelensky? You know what? Actually, I'll do you even better, Mr. Volodymyr. I'll just give you a blank check and why don't you fill out the zeros? That's kind of the way that it feels, right? Then you have illegals whose first act in the nation is a crime and they're given billions upon billions of dollars. And let's just call it what it is, free crap. And that money comes from FEMA. That's the core issue. Oh, fact check, let's debunk. No, it doesn't. Yes, it freaking does.
It's just categorically false. No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants. So FEMA regional administrators have been meeting with city officials on site to coordinate available federal support from FEMA and other federal agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's emergency food and shelter program.
I mean, come on, you guys. It's all right. This is like a blatant slap in the face at this point. They tell us one thing and literally we can see the true right in front of them. They're telling us, it's raining and they're peeing on our leg at this point. Sorry, guys. I have to say.
Agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's emergency food and shelter program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants.
Oof, hard to argue with that one now, is it? People are sick of the lack of priority. And you got a lot of Democrats now trying to flip the script, saying there's been all kinds of bills that have been attempted to pass to increase funding for FEMA, right? The answer to everything from Democrats is increase funding. And people keep saying, well, Republicans voted against it. But think about that for 2 seconds. I don't even necessarily know the context. I haven't researched it yet. I probably will after recording this video, but I'm just going to go out there on a limb and give you my prediction. I have a feeling that Republicans voted against that FEMA spending, or at least increased funding, probably because of all the money that FEMA is spending, further enabling this border crisis, this illegal migration crisis that's currently ongoing under this administration. And I'm assuming the Democrats are manipulating that in a way to present it as if Republicans voted against funding for hurricane victims. Give me a frickin' break. It's a priorities issue.
Same way what they're doing with the border bill, where they're saying, Donald Trump, he sent that call down there to kill the border bill, the bipartisan border bill. It's all Donald Trump and the Republicans' fault. Give me a break. That same tired old play. It's not going to work, guys. We can see straight through it, like I said.
Administration. And I'm assuming the Democrats are manipulating that in a way to present it as if Republicans voted against funding for hurricane victims. Give me a frickin' break. It's a priorities issue, and the people criticizing this administration are right to do so. They're not spreading misinformation. They're simply voicing their frustration, and legitimately so. It's obvious what's going on here, but of course exactly what you'd expect from the elitist press and elitist talking heads in the mainstream media: contempt for regular people voicing their frustration, and a continued widespread effort to defend the Democrat Party from any scrutiny. There is a clear and obvious double standard here. Instead of holding this administration to account, instead of being even a little bit interested or curious, their focus is just condemning regular people. Ooh, misinformation and conspiracy theorists, here we go again.
We're talking about the President of the United States practically getting killed.
And we all condemn that.
You're hitting 20 different topics.
The Democrats condemn that. But the lies, the floodgate of lies must stop.
What lies? Like that President Trump's going to monitor women's pregnancies?
Oh, well.
Oh, that's Project 2025. Has nothing to do with President Trump. But you know what? It's a good talking point for the Democrats, so they keep saying it. They lie all the time.
Oh, wow.
Again, the left acts as if they have a monopoly on the truth. They're more focused on politicizing everything and pointing the finger at the other side saying, you're a bunch of liars. But who the hell are they to point the finger at anybody on the issue of honesty? Holy frickin' moly. People are pissed. And you know what's the most frustrating part? Is that if all of this was happening under the Trump administration, you know exactly what they would be doing. I think Scott Jennings hit the nail on the head.
I literally lived through Hurricane Katrina in the Bush White House, and as I know you lived through it, Anderson, covering it, and I don't recall any restraint by Democrats or the national media coming after George W. Bush and FEMA and every other thing, and it was immediately politicized. And, I well remember it. It's seared into my brain. And so now all these people are out here saying, we can't politicize this. We can't criticize this. Nothing can be said about Biden and Harris here or FEMA or anything else. And I just think, well, if a Republican were in the White House and the Republican president were at the beach and the vice president were raising money with celebrities, I guarantee you somebody would be mad about it.
Hey, he's just putting the facts out there. That's why I've grown to enjoy Scott Jennings' takes. I mean, this dude Biden has been at the beach. How much of his presidency had this guy spent on vacation? Then we got Kamala doing, podcast world tour, trying to hurry up and get in front of the media's faces so she can somehow push her positions, push more lies out there. While folks literally are suffering, they're without their home, they're without power, they're without, any hope that anyone's coming to get them at this point, because they feel like they've been placed on the back burner, and they have, man, with this administration. It's crazy.
Beach and the vice president were raising money with celebrities, I guarantee you somebody would be mad about it.
If a Republican was in the White House and the Republican president was just chilling at the beach, meanwhile the vice president, who's currently running for president as a replacement incumbent, is schmoozing and boozing and fundraising with celebrities, could you imagine what the mainstream media would be saying? It would be constant outrage. Headline after headline, non-stop coverage. Imagine if Trump was diverting FEMA funds to build his border wall, and then they didn't have enough money to properly respond to a hurricane that, by the way, they knew was coming, and they should have been preparing for hurricane season months in advance, well, imagine what the mainstream media would be saying about Trump. Meanwhile, all of this happened, and all we're seeing from the mainstream media is glowing reviews of just how great Kamala is. Anybody who scrutinizes or criticizes the response or FEMA's lack of priorities, well, you're just a lying conspiracy theorist MAGA chud. I mean, could you imagine if during a moment like this, Donald Trump was going around doing ridiculous photo shoots and pretending to work on the front line?
What really got me was the 16-year-old daughter came up and seen where we take pads and put like 5 or 10 in a bag. Yeah. And she was like, oh my God.
She doesn't even care about these photos. That's what really gets underneath my skin, makes me so upset. She doesn't even like the fake. Yeah, she's not even listening, not paying attention to what this lady's saying. She's just doing it all for the photo op, for the press to say, hey, I did it. Just like when she does these interviews, hey, I did them. You know, it's kind of just a participation or completion, and she always gets the award for it. It's crazy. Listen.
16-year-old daughter came up and seen where we take pads and put like 5 or 10 in a bag. Yeah. And she was like, oh my God, we got some pads. And you know, it's a female. Yeah. We know how valuable that is. And she said, because
everything this woman does is a photo op. And you know, talk about narcissism. They keep saying Donald Trump is a real narcissist. He makes everything about himself. You know, once again, it's projection. Look at the tweet that Kamala Harris just released. To all the volunteers who saw neighbors or strangers in need after Hurricane Helene and stepped in to help, thank you. You make our nation proud. She then posts pictures of herself. It's a campaign ad photo op. Not to mention talking about volunteers and strangers trying to help. She says this as her administration is currently embroiled in scandal for supposedly blocking independent search and rescue teams. You know, again, could you imagine if those were the reports and Trump was in power? Just imagine it. We get reports and literal behavior coming from this administration, and it's fake news. Don't believe your lying eyes. But with Donald Trump, I mean, we lived 4 years of it. Even when it was fake news, even when it was clear disinformation, anonymous sources, they still ran with the story. They sucked up the oxygen in the room for 4 years straight with their absolute nonsense, and now they want to lecture you. What an absolute farce. And I guess just for the video to come full circle here, this is why they very scarcely bring people like Tom Cotton on their shows. Because their precious narrative is just oh so delicate.
Yo, there we have it, guys. That one coming from our friend Liberal Hive Mind. Definitely be sure to leave that original video link down in the description box below. For those who want to go over there, check that out. Also, guys, go over there and show our friend Liberal Hive Mind a bit of love. Oh my goodness, guys. They lie. They try to gaslight, push that narrative, but oh, they didn't account for Senator Tom Cotton coming out of nowhere like a wrecking ball, destroying their narrative. Kristen Welker did not expect the fact check on top of her fact check. You know, where she's saying that, you know, there's 2 separate accounts. It does not make sense, guys. There's supposed to be funds there for a reason. And when we're faced with a crisis and we look towards them and there's no funds, and we see that they've been shoveling funds out to illegal migrants, it just does not make sense. I mean, for the longest, it kept trying to divert and say that this was misinformation and, you know, all the funds were used appropriately by FEMA, but now it's coming full circle. We're seeing that that's not the case at all. We're seeing they're saying that there was 2 accounts and one of the accounts may have been used you know, for what was going on down at the southern border. I mean, like, come on, you guys. All the evidence is right in front of our face. We have to stop letting them play with us, guys. Definitely hop in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you did enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one.